Welcome to this week's edition of Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Mackenzie Collins.
And I'm Brenton McLaughlin. We have a lot in store for tonight's show. We'll be previewing Auburn versus Ole Miss and reviewing Auburn soccer, volleyball, and even some notable Auburn alumni in the pros.
Auburn football returns to action this Saturday against number 10 Ole Miss. Auburn heads into this game following a much-needed bye week where players look to get healthy. Here's what Brian Harsin had to say about the upcoming matchup.
Earn ourselves for the game on Saturday evening at 6 against a really good Ole Miss team. I got a chance to watch them against LSU, and LSU looked strong early in the game, scoring. They went down the field and scored on that drive. And then you could see Ole Miss, offense was on fire, quarterback played well. Again, defense really came on and played physical. Special teams were solid all the way throughout the game. They're 6-1 for a reason. They're one loss coming to Alabama. And if you look at just some of the things that they're doing from an offensive standpoint, they're scoring a bunch of points. So I think they're second in the SEC in scoring. Total yards, they're first. They're running the ball well. They're passing the ball well. They're aggressive in their third down and fourth down situations. So they're going to get close. And close for them is probably a little bit more than what most people would do in a fourth down situation. So, but they've been very good at it, and they've gone for it quite a bit. So you got to be ready for that. And they've been successful with it. So they're executing. A big part of that is their style of offense, and certainly their quarterback and his play. They're a tempo team, and we've seen some tempo this season, so you have to be ready for that on the defensive side. And they're going to have a lot of variety in there in the pass game that comes off the run, and certainly being prepared for the quarterback run game as well. Matt Corral, leader of this team, obviously on the offensive side, front runner for the Heisman, completing about 70% of his passes, 15 touchdowns, 1 INT. He's making good decisions, and like I said, he runs the ball hard. He's a physical player at that position, and he's shown that throughout the entire season. Their wide receivers, Drummond, 36 catches. He's got 17 yards per catch. Very good player. Very consistent for them as a playmaker. Their two running backs, Ely and Parrish, both those guys are both playmakers. They got a high completion. They're catching a lot of balls, so those guys are making quite a bit of things happen in the pass game. And they've got more weapons than just those guys there. So offensively, I've been impressed with just everything they've done. Defensively, I think they're third in the SEC in turnovers gained. They're second in sacks. And, they've done some things on the defensive side with that front, which is multiple, with that 3 down and the different variations they can bring with their safeties and linebackers. And they played physical in the games that I've seen.
Kickoff is set for 6 o'clock p.m. and to air on ESPN. Fans are encouraged to wear orange for the annual All Auburn, All Orange game.
Auburn University announced they are following the federal executive order that mandates COVID-19 vaccines for businesses with more than 100 employees. Head coach Brian Harsin was asked yet again whether or not he was vaccinated in this week's press conference. Here's what Brian Harsin had to say on the topic.
Yeah, then you go back to, not just media days, but also in August. I had a chance to talk to you guys about that as well. So I'm aware of the new policy. I appreciate you have to, ask the question and understand it. But, it doesn't change. I mean, the executive order, all those things, doesn't change the fact that I'm not going to discuss any individual's decision or status on the vaccine or anyone else's, including my own, like I said before. So, from the beginning, I think I made it clear that I wasn't, that wasn't something that I was going to talk about or discuss, and wasn't going to go down that road. And don't feel like right now that's any different. We're focused on Ole Miss. We're focused on the things we have to do to get prepared for this week. There's a lot of other things right now that we have to make sure we're ready for with this football team, and that's what I got to stay focused on with our players and our staff and the people in this program. So, we've had those conversations, but, that doesn't change what I've said before.
According to the university announcement about the vaccine mandate, if any university employee is not vaccinated by December 8th, they would be terminated.
When we return, we will talk about some of the other sports happening in Auburn. Stay tuned to Sports Night in Auburn. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. Auburn soccer moved to 11-4 following a 0-2 loss to number 4 ranked Arkansas on Thursday. The loss snapped a 3-game winning streak where the Tigers had not given up a single goal. The Tigers gave the Razorbacks everything they had in them and did not allow a goal into the 35th minute when the Razorbacks scored off the rebound of a free kick. The Tigers came out firing in the second half with many good looks, but ultimately could not put the ball in the back of the net. Then in the 68th minute, the Razorbacks will score again, stretching the lead to 2, and too much for the Tigers to overcome. Auburn has now fallen in all 4 ranked matchups they have faced this season.
Then on Sunday, the Auburn soccer team traveled to Oxford, Mississippi to face the number 13th ranked Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss struck first in the 34th minute of the match, but Auburn responded less than 4 minutes later. The Tigers' first 2 goals came within a 10-minute span of each other, coming in and out of halftime. It was Anna Haddock who got the Tigers on the scoreboard in the 37th minute, marking her 9th goal of the season. Then Cindy Richards scored her 6th goal this season to give the Tigers a 2-1 lead over the Rebels in the 47th minute.
Then with less than 10 minutes left in the match, the Rebels were able to score another goal, which would force the game into overtime. Auburn was able to maintain most of the possession in the 2 overtime periods, but neither team was able to create any shots, and the game ended in a 2-2 tie. Auburn sits at 11-4-1 as they enter the regular season finale at Alabama on Thursday night. The match will kick off at 7 o'clock and can be streamed on the ESPN app. The Tigers return right around and compete in the SEC tournament beginning on Halloween Sunday in Orange Beach, Alabama at the Orange Beach Sportsplex. Auburn currently sits 4th in the SEC with a record of 5-3-1.
Auburn Volleyball split their weekend series in Athens, Georgia against the Bulldogs last weekend. The Tigers won in dominant fashion on Thursday night as they won in straight sets. It marked the 4th straight win for the Tigers in Athens, with the last 3 coming in straight sets as well. Senior Val Green led the team in kills with 16, and Jackie Barrett recorded her 12th double-double of the season with 17 digs and 27 assists. Tatum Shipes brought her season total of blocks to 114, falling her 8 in the match against Georgia, and is just 6 shy of the single-season block record at Auburn, set in 2012 by Kamila Drasonsky.
On Sunday, the outcome between the Tigers and Bulldogs saw a completely different result. This time, the Bulldogs defeated the Tigers in straight sets, moving Auburn's record to 12-8 following the loss and 1-5 on the road. Auburn returns back home where they are staggering 11-3 for a single match against the LSU Tigers on Friday night. The first serve is set for 6 o'clock and can be streamed on the ESPN app.
After the conclusion of the volleyball game on Friday night, Auburn basketball will take the court in the first ever orange-blue intra-squad scrimmage. The scrimmage is free to the public and will feature team introductions, a dunk contest, and a scrimmage consisting of 2 halves. The doors to Auburn Arena will open at 5 p.m. for the Auburn volleyball match. No tickets are required, and seating will be first come, first serve. Auburn's first exhibition game is set for next Friday night at 7 o'clock in Auburn Arena against Southern Indiana.
An Auburn basketball duo received all SEC honors by league coaches. The SEC announced these selections on Tuesday that are voted on by all 14 coaches in the conference. Freshman Jabari Smith was named to the preseason second team. He is the only freshman to be voted to the All-SEC team. Smith is the highest-rated player to sign with Auburn and marked the 4th McDonald's All-American to sign with the program.
Junior Allen Flanagan was named to the preseason first-team All-SEC. Flanagan is one of 3 SEC players to average 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game a season ago. Unfortunately, the Tigers will be without Flanagan to begin the 2021 season as he's recovering from an injury.
Auburn Equestrian returned to action last weekend with meets against Lynchburg and number 7 Fresno State. Auburn opened the weekend with a 9-1 win over Lynchburg in the Auburn University Equestrian Center. Auburn kicked off the meet with a 5-0 sweep in fences. Senior Megan Napnick proved a 4-0 overall in the event with an 87-56 victory. The lone defeat came in flats when Ava Stearns fell to Lynchburg's Taylor Herzog 89.5 to 88.5.
Auburn's second meet of the week resulted in a 13-5 win over number 7 Fresno State. With the win, Auburn improved to 3-1 on the season. Auburn swept the MOP honors on the day, starting with Sophie Steckbeck taking the award in fences. Emma Kurtz won in flat, and Olivia Tordoff and Bo Kammerer were honored in horsemanship and reining. Auburn swept the fences event and was 2 points away from sweeping the reining event. The Tigers returned to conference action on October 29th to take on number 9 South Carolina in the Auburn University Equestrian Center. Admission is free, and the event is set to begin at 3 p.m.
Auburn swimming and diving swept Kentucky last weekend. The Auburn men defeated Kentucky 200-100 to earn their first victory of the season. The Tigers also fell to North Carolina State in the double duel meet. Sophomore Rick Makuta had another good outing, getting Auburn's first win with a time of 53 and 11 seconds in the 100 breaststroke. Makuta also beat NC State's record holder in the 200 breaststroke when he finished less than a second behind him. In diving, senior Connor Pruitt swept the springboards over the weekend. Pruitt narrowly won the 3-meter with a score of 401-65 and won the 1-meter event with the score of 367.2.
The Auburn women narrowly beat reigning SEC champs Kentucky with a score of 157-143. The Tigers defeated them in the final event to seal the victory. The Auburn women also fell to NC State in the meet. Senior Emily Hetzer gave Auburn another strong start by winning the 1,000 freestyle and the 500 freestyle. Hetzer also finished 4th in the 200 free.
It was the 400 freestyle relay that edged the Tigers in front of Kentucky to seal the victory. The team featured Rebecca Hamilton, Mackenzie Leahy, Emma Steichel, and Claudia Thom. Auburn head coach Ryan Wachamerka said after the meet, to have the opportunity to knock up the number 12 team, the defending SEC champs, is exciting and certainly let everybody in the country know that we're here to play. Both teams will be back in action on Friday, November 5th at 1 p.m. in the James E. Martin Aquatic Center.
When we return, we will look at what some Auburn alumni are doing in the pros. You are watching Sports Night in Auburn.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. Cincinnati Bengals tight end C.J. Uzomah had another great week. The former Auburn tight end had 3 catches for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns to help the Bengals take first place in the AFC North with a 41-17 win over the Baltimore Ravens. Carolina Panthers defensive tackle Derek Brown had a career day in the Panther loss to the Giants. Brown racked in a career-high 6 tackles. He also added a sack to his stat line.
New York Jets linebacker Jamien Sherwood went down this weekend with a torn Achilles. Sherwood is set to miss the rest of his rookie campaign. The former Auburn safety recorded 14 tackles this season and played 36% of the Jets' defensive snaps. That's all for Sports Night in Auburn. But for more Auburn sports, head to our website, eagleeyeauburn.com, where we'll have everything you need to know to stay up to date on Auburn sports. I'm Brendan McLaughlin.
And I'm Mackenzie Collins. For even more sports, follow our Twitter at EETV_sports and follow our Instagram at EagleEyeTV. Good night, and we're Eagle.